The first charges into alleged Russian meddling in the 2016 presidential election have been filed. Weijia Jiang has the latest from Washington, D.C. And our investigative team digs a little deeper into the alleged credit card misuse by mayoral candidate LaToya Cantrell. And it's been 1 week since sexual harassment accusations were made against celebrity chef John Besh. And even though he stepped down from running his restaurant group, has the fallout continued, or is the business bouncing back?
Live from the French Quarter, this is Eyewitness News Weekends.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Katie Steiner here on the Eyewitness Morning News. It's a very chilly Saturday morning, and rain was in the area thanks to that cold front, but nobody's complaining since it's a little chillier out here. Let's head to Chris over in the Weather Center. And Chris, how's that forecast looking for all of the folks running the Jazz Half Marathon this morning?
Well,
Several media outlets this morning are reporting that the first charges have been filed into the investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election, but that indictment is sealed. Weijia Jiang has more from Washington. And Facebook says it will now verify political ad buyers after uncovering that more than 3,000 election time ads were linked to Russia. And meanwhile, closer to home, search and rescue crews have recovered the body of a man who fell into the water during a fishing trip. 44-year-old Hatskin Payne of Zachary was found near the same area where he fell in at Bayou Benvenue in Chalmette. Now, witnesses say that Payne lost his footing on a boat and went into the water. His wife jumped in after him, but was unable to get him back in the boat. Payne was not wearing a life vest, and apparently he didn't know how to swim. Now, we are continuing to get more details about mayoral candidate LaToya Cantrell's use of city credit cards. Eyewitness investigator David Hamron has been looking into hundreds of Cantrell's credit card bills and invoices. He found more than $42,000 in charges, including 29 trips around the United States and one to Italy for a resiliency summit. Now, Cantrell's former chief of staff, Marilyn Wood, said that the staff did try to be careful and not charge alcohol or personal expenses for that credit card, but she did say that some mistakes were made. Now to an update on the former New Orleans mayoral candidate, Michael Bagneris. He has released an update about his daughter, Mia. She's still in the hospital after a suspected drunk driver hit her almost 2 weeks ago. Mia is the Tulane history professor, and she parked her car on election night right outside her house. As she was getting out of it, that driver hit her. Her family released a statement saying that her injuries were life-threatening for several days, but she is expected to survive. But they aren't sure about how her recovery is going to go. They added that even with minor setbacks, she bounces back from every operation and keeps fighting. Now, it's been exactly 1 week since news broke about sexual harassment allegations against superstar chef John Besh and his restaurant group. This weekend, our partners over at the New Orleans Advocate are looking at some of the ongoing effects of this story. Here's Natalie Shepard with a preview.
Wheelchair woman, see how high she flies. Ooh, wheelchair woman, she got the money.
Oh, Chris is finally happy with this Halloween song.
Yeah.
Nice. Sing it.
It's as good as it gets.
Oh, come on. That was
Love the Eagles.
Wow. I think you should just sing the forecast.
Just like that in that high-pitched voice.
Please, that would be
I'd
awesome.
need a lot of help to get it that high.
Well, our next story, if you drive down the French Quarter, you'll see for sale signs, and some of those signs actually advertise that the house isn't haunted. Have you seen that?
That's
I think
important.
That's so funny. So if you knew that a house was haunted in the French Quarter, Chris, would you buy it? Would that stop
I mean,
you?
does that? There's evidence that it's haunted?
Yeah,
That'd be
if
kinda cool, I think.
there are reports.
I think
So you
it's
would go for it.
Maybe kind of neat. I'm convinced this studio is haunted.
It probably is. Well,
We're the
according to
quarter.
a survey done by Realtor.com, only 1 in 3 people agree with Chris and say that they would actually buy a home that was haunted. There's actually a couple in Spokane, Washington, who say that their house has been haunted by a boy who died back in the 20s. A short time after they moved in, weird things started happening. Nadine and Paul Larson say that even though it's a little creepy, they still love their home. I used to live in Spokane and my house wasn't haunted.
Oh,
So there you go. Realtors said that they have heard instances where home buyers have passed on a house because they thought it was haunted or because it was near a cemetery, but it's not always a deal breaker.
No, I have heard of people passing up on a home because they thought it was haunted. I have heard of that.
Yeah,
Here, yes.
Especially here in this area.
Yeah.
You see
Well, you
it a
can
lot
find
of-
that in older cities especially, but
Charleston is another one
Yeah.
that seems to have a
Yeah.
lot of that. I don't know. I don't
a
know
lot
what
of
I would
ghosts.
do. I think I don't really like old. I would want to stay in like a newly renovated house.
Oh, I see.
Because I like you
Which
know,
doesn't have ghosts.
Yeah. That's
So
what I'm
your-
going to tell
so
myself.
your goal is newly renovated and no ghosts.
Yes,
No,
preferably.
ghosts hate renovation.
That's
they
what I
hate
would
renovation.
think. I would think that would like kick them out.
They do. That does it.
boy.
That does it. Once you move that stud, they're out.
We've always done apartments, so I've never bought a house.
I think that was
yet.
the original plot of Ghostbusters. Was they were remodeling a house and got rid of all the ghosts. Wasn't quite as exciting. Wasn't quite as exciting
Go
as
sing your
Ghostbusters.
weather in the Eagles,
I'm not,
please.
I can't do that again. Let's take a look at what's happening.
Welcome back. Wearable chocolate was front and center at the Salon des Chocolates in Paris. French celebrities, recording artists, and even boxers hit the runway in clothing made of just chocolate. This is honestly my dream come true. The annual chocolate fair, billed as the largest in the world, gathers chocolatiers, pastry chefs, and professionals from the chocolate industry and from around the globe, which is phenomenal. I love chocolate.
See, but I'm always hot. I just am naturally hot.
Oh, that's awkward.
So that would melt all
Yeah.
the chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool though. But in celebration of Halloween, we have candy.
Who brought this? You did?
No, unfortunately, Twix.
These are entire. This isn't like the fun size.
M&Ms.
These are whole.
They're kind of from the vending machine.
Oh.
Skittles.
What, did you pop it open or you bought all of this?
I did not steal any
I
of
don't
this,
know.
Chris. So what's your come back here? What's your favorite kind of Halloween candy?
Twix. Ooh, peanut
Twix,
M&Ms.
peanut
I saw a
M&Ms.
Snickers bar
Okay,
in there. I
grab
like
one.
Snickers.
Grab it. What
I
about
can't take it though. You're gonna make me give it back.
This is your kind of candy.
What?
Dum-dums.
So glad I decided to participate in this segment.
So your favorite kind of candy?
I like chocolate. I like
but,
chocolate.
any
So
kind of
Kit
specific?
Kat, Twix, Snickers. Those are these two would be my favorites.
See, we're gonna have to fight over the Twix because the Twix is my.
Well, you get
favorite.
two though.
We can share. Oh, that's perfect. Awesome. Well, we have lots more coming up in the next half hour of the show. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, we have your back. There's so much to do here in New Orleans. We have a rundown of all of those fun things to do this weekend when we come back. Plus, an NFL owner is apologizing after comparing players who protest the national anthem to inmates running the prison. That's coming up after a quick break. Dance
Manili
party.
Vanilli.
I don't know.
Vanilli,
I
right?
just know it's a good
That's
song.
Manili Vanilli, yes.
Oh, he was right. Wow, Chris, I'm shocked.
So you want to
You're
know
on
what
a
kind of
roll.
music I like? That.
And
right
the
there.
Eagles.
And the Eagles.
You know what kind of weather I like?
What?
Rain boot weather.
Rain boot weather?
Brought my rain boots.
Well, you kind of don't need them. It's,
Well,
the
yeah,
rain's
but
over.
if you go to Voodoo Fest,
No, yeah, you'll
you're
want
gonna
that.
need your rain
You're
boots
gonna
if you
sink,
go to Voodoo
You're gonna
Fest.
sink about that high too.
Or
so.
Seafood Fest, you're gonna need your rain boots too. Even though it's not raining, I would
No,
pack
'cause-
them.
well, we had rain move through, but we only had 9/100ths of an inch at Kenner, so we didn't have heavy rain overnight.
Yeah, but still, Voodoo Fest is gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
And my husband is dragging me to Voodoo Fest, so I have to be prepared.
Oh, are you going to see someone in particular?
Yeah, he wants to see the band Brand New, I think.
I have no idea.
He's all
Are they brand
excited
new?
about it. No, they're old because
Oh.
they're breaking up.
Oh,
So
that's
this is the brand new last time
no
you can
idea
see
what
them.
you're talking about.
Me
Cloudy
neither.
skies out.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Well, despite the cold weather, it's still going to be a very big weekend for the city of New Orleans. There's so many different things going on. For all of us locals, you can expect heavy traffic and a lot of loud music near City Park because of Voodoo Fest. And for all of you who are visiting our great city, the Halloween experience here in New Orleans is like nothing else. Jade Cunningham brings us the story. Thanks, Jade. Also happening today, great thing to do with your dog or cat. Heaven's Pets will be having its 7th annual Blessing of the Pets. The whole point is to celebrate the lives of our pets, both past and present. So the pastor at the Ministry of St. Francis Assisi will be doing the blessing for the animals. It all starts at 10 o'clock this morning at Lake Lawn Metairie Cemetery on Pontchartrain Boulevard. The services are free and open to the public, and all 4-legged and 2-legged friends are invited. Now today is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, so if you have any expired drugs or drugs you don't want to use, make sure you bring them to a location close to you. That's going to be from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. We have a list of those locations on our website, wwltv.com, then click on links, or you can call toll-free 1-800-882-9539. Officials say that medicines that just sit in your home are just asking to be stolen or misused. And the owner of the Houston Texans is apologizing this morning. He made some comments at an owners meeting that ticked off a lot of people. CBS's Kenneth Craig has more from New York. The Texans owner, Bob McNair, is a top-dollar donor to President Trump who objects to players kneeling during the national anthem. Now in the college town of Bloomington, Indiana, that's where IU is, cops busted a huge meth dealing operation. The crazy part? How they were bringing in all the meth. Police say that a man mailed the meth to Indiana, all hidden in mannequin heads. When police arrested the man getting the shipments, they said he had more than 1,000 grams of meth. That's worth almost $75,000. And in Washington, D.C., President Trump welcomed the kids of some of the White House reporters into the Oval Office to trick or treat. The kids were dressed up in their Halloween costumes, and probably the biggest treat was where they got to do it, in the Oval Office with the president himself. The president handed out candy. Those were Hershey Kisses with White House branding. And still ahead, we'll speak to 2 members of the NOLA Health Innovators community about a new initiative. The details on how you can become a part of the NOLA Health Innovation Challenge, that's coming up. And how to take the best picture of your kid on Halloween when it's dark outside. Sometimes it can be tricky, but we have a couple of tips for you coming up. Thanks, Chris. Well, it's the selfie taker's constant battle. How do you get a good picture in bad light? Now, you might not know this, but Chris likes to take more selfies than the average teenage girl, so I really hope he's listening to this. And if you're going to take pictures of yourself or your kids this Halloween, CNET's Knesset Oral tells us about how you can take the best picture. Welcome back. Well, this story is actually quite surprising. The man who owns one of the largest collections of Ouija boards doesn't live in the city of New Orleans. How is that even possible? He lives in Denver, and our sister station caught up with him.
How do I find my way out of here?
Oh God, is it dark in here?
I have a lot more questions.
I have so many questions for that reporter.
Yeah, not necessarily the whole, well, the Ouija thing is a
Well, the
little
Ouija
weird.
thing, yeah, that's. You were saying you were surprised they weren't in New Orleans. We're not being
Yeah.
contacted
Oh,
the
really?
dead, I guess. Maybe we
Is
are, I
it
don't know.
voodoo? I mean,
Yeah,
isn't
it's kind of voodoo. I
that's
don't
kind of... Chris, what are you talking about?
I don't know. That package has me
Yeah, that package
has
is
a
really
little
weird.
flustered. I don't know.
What can you do?
I think we ought to do our next segment. Flashlights only. Turn off all the lights in here. Just
Well, I think that's a great idea. You can do the weather. We can do, where's that
with
music?
circusy clown music. Yeah, that's not annoying. Hey, that's not obnoxious. Like the guy sitting in a recliner with a glass of wine barefoot.
Yeah, that was also really weird. I'm glad I wasn't the only person who
No,
was
we
kind of
were.
like,
we
oh.
see eye to eye on that one.
That's okay. Well, is it going to rain today? For all of our
A few
friends doing
little
lots of
light
things?
showers, little sprinkles moving through, but they'll be wrapping up shortly.
Okay, so not too bad. I'm still wearing my rain boots to
do
Voodoo
whatever
Fest,
you
and I
want.
would recommend that. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for joining us.